What's going on, guys? It's Tony from Team Divine Pro here, coming at you guys with a improving your game segment number 2 for Weiss Schwarz. So what we're going to talk about today is the level 0 game. So just having cards on hand, let's go through the level 0 game. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so the level 0 game. Let's say you have cards such as this one, like the Kirito Solo Player. You want to play this card, and you'd rather, like, the way that I play the game is that I would rather have less stock at the beginning and maintain field presence, because this way you're gaining stock still, but you're also preventing your opponent from reaching level 1 faster. Because let's say you spam the field and they have nothing on board, you just attack. This is all by itself is already 6, and then you could be in a predicament where you could only have like 1 stock, so 1 clock. So that's an issue, because you don't want your opponent hitting level 1 before you. You'd rather have them hit level 1 almost at the same time as you, like 1 turn after, because whoever reaches levels faster is practically guaranteed to always have a better advantage in the end, because hitting the level 0 game is pretty much very important, because that sets the tone for the rest of it. So like, if you go through and then your opponent's at level 1 while you're still at level 0, you're in a fairly good position, because then you have more chances of just beating down, because chances are that they don't have a full field of level 1s, so you can still beat on their level 0s with your own level 0s, whereas like them, they're in a predicament because the level 1, they're at level 1 already, so they got to protect themselves from more damage, while you can afford to take a little bit more damage and play a little bit riskier. So yeah, and it's cards like that allow this, because like your opponent will, if they're not as experienced, they'll attack these spots and leave this here, whereas like you can just keep on killing cards one at a time. That's another thing. In the game, I would recommend that you start, instead of like, unless if you're going first, but like if you're going second or afterwards, I would recommend taking down opponents' like cards instead. Like if you were against here, like I'd suggest more attacking this rather than going for an open spot, because that's just, it deals less damage, and that revolves around the same concept as the clock. You want to deal less damage so you can hit levels at the same time or faster than them, so you can gain more advantage. Because like the higher you go up, the more advantage and the more aggressive power levels become. So you want to kind of be that one to hit first under your terms, or at least not make them go up before you're ready to go up. Because like, I know if you guys play it a lot, then it's kind of annoying how some people level up before you do, and you're not completely ready for it, so you just get destroyed like in the next like 3 turns until you get leveled up. So this helps, because this way at least you're preventing them from leveling up really quickly, and like that. See, so then you could either go for this or that. I would recommend this, because the best tactic for a Suicider would be to kill it with a Suicider. Either that, or in this case, since I have this card and it goes up by level, if I didn't have that, this would be able to kill it and it wouldn't reverse at all. So it's pretty good. What else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, boosters and brainstormers. Early game, boosters and brainstormers can be played in the front row. You can use that. I've tried that. It's not ideal, but since you play so many in a deck like SAO, it's not that big of a deal to be playing them in the front row, because you can retrieve them, and you do play multiple copies of many boosters. That's why you play like cards like this, because it does have a 2K, and it does protect you from taking massive damage, because then you don't get run over, because you're only playing a 500. Instead, by playing a 2K, then you usually have at least enough standard, like enough to survive like the meta decks now, because like SAO is a big thing, and like the reverser is only 1/5, and even only with accelerate can it be at 4. So that's a good thing to know. And on top of that, usually by here you'd have at least like 2 cards, and then you'd be boosting at least. So it does help out. Apart from that, if I want to go anywhere with level 0s, I do. Oh yeah, searchers. You can. Searchers like early game. It's good to know. Early game, I would suggest if you were to use a searcher to search out for another level 0, depending on your clock and your opponent's clock. Because what I do most of the time is like search out for a booster, or I search out for like a suicider, so that I can suicide with their suicider and I can keep my card advantage. Because if you go like that, if your opponent's like this, sorry, you can attack, and then you can suicide with them, and that still leaves them at, that leaves you at 1 card by the end of the turn, but it also leaves them at the point where they cannot clock to a massive amount to level up, like I said, because you don't want them to level up too early. Now, there's one situation where if your opponent is going to clock, if you can't avoid, like if they've left the entire field open and they're going to level up no matter what, and you can't avoid it, then this is when I would suggest just like spam the field and like just go crazy and just like take it, because at this point the better strategy would be to try to get them to level 2 instead of level 1, so to deal the most damage at a point where they don't have anything on field, and to just like completely wipe the floor with them. Because then they're in such a bad predicament that they have to play more aggro and they have to start dealing more damage. And like the maximum amount of damage you can do, even with a +2 soul card, isn't enough to get you to the point where like you're going to be tied with them, unless if your opponent's just like OP and they keep on finding those triggers and they deal it, which has happened to me before, which was quite bad. But anyways, I'm excusing myself for a little bit of the mumbling, but I hope you guys learned something from this little segment of improving your game, and stay tuned for the next episode, which will be coming out soon. Okay, this has been Tony from Team Divine Pro, signing off.